You're listening to Retro Reels, a show that looks back on films from time gone by and recalls the various events, trends, and perspectives that informed their creation. I'm your host, Hannah Walensky, here to guide you through a trip to the past via the silver screen.
It's June, it's Pride Month again, and you know what that means. It means I gotta watch me some more gay movies. My first pick for this year was Stanley Kwan's 2001 film Lan Yu, a drama showcasing the main events of a 10-year, on-off romantic relationship between two men. There's a lot more going on with this movie than meets the eye. To start with, the subject is not something you would expect from something that was technically a Chinese production set in China. Most of the crew are from mainland China, and filming itself took place primarily in Beijing, surreptitiously, I might add. The filming process was very much a guerrilla affair. By that I mean they weren't approved to shoot the movie, they were just doing it. Not only that, but its approach to the subject matter is surprisingly raw by any standard. I went into it not really knowing what to expect and then being very surprised within just the first 10 or so minutes when sex between the two main characters was depicted in a much more straightforward fashion than I thought it would. Not like it's hardcore or distasteful or anything, but it was definitely more nudity than I typically see from any movie, much less a Chinese movie from 25 years ago. It turns out that my noticing this was not for nothing, because Lan Yu is actually the first incidence of male nudity within a same-sex context in any Asian film. And this isn't the first time director Stanley Kwan has featured full-frontal male nudity in one of his movies either. His 1997 film Hold You Tight shows actor Sunny Chan in a bathroom scene as he enters the shower completely nude for just a few seconds. Lan Yu is special for doing it in a gay way. Kwan, born in Hong Kong in 1957, came out publicly as a gay man in his own 1996 documentary on gender in Chinese cinema, in which he interviewed other directors and explored questions of gender and sexuality in Chinese film history, a notably candid act for the time and the context. Before that point, he mainly made movies about women. Kwan started out in the film industry as an assistant director working under Hong Kong new wave filmmakers like An Hui, who mainly made movies about the female experience, so that probably influenced him in a way. He's also talked about identifying with women protagonists because being a gay man and being a woman can both involve performing within structures that weren't really made for you. It's a straight man's world, and we're all just living in it. But I think it was probably also the only thing he felt like he could safely make movies about, at least at first, since melodramas about women were commercially and artistically viable anyway, and the 80s were just a bit too early, and he a bit too early in his career, to be giving audiences stories about gay men. His movies centered on women featured many of the same themes anyway, like artifice, memory, and unrequited love, all very much the same emotional preoccupations that you can find in Lan Yu. So the early works were clearly a kind of proving ground for him. By the time Kwan made Lan Yu, it was the new millennium, he was established enough, having made more than 10 movies before that point, and furthermore, he was adapting an existing work, rather than writing an original gay narrative. The source material for Lan Yu, called Beijing Story, circulated anonymously online in 1998 by an author whose identity is unknown to this day, known only as Beijing Comrade, or Beijing Tongzhi. Interestingly, 同志, or comrade, is a term now often used to refer to gay and lesbian identities in China. Michael Lam, a columnist for the Hong Kong-based City magazine, first adopted and popularized the use of the term through the inaugural Hong Kong Lesbian and Gay Film Festival in 1989. It's kind of charming, isn't it, that they co-opted a phrase from an ideology that has a history of being used to justify hostility toward homosexuality, or at least the Stalinist position would see it that way. Anyway, the anonymous internet novel gave Kwon both the story and a degree of distance from full authorial exposure, even though the film is clearly personal to him too. The story starts sometime during the 80s and chronicles a decade in the lives of two Chinese men, Han Dong, a wealthy businessman in his 30s, and Lan Yu, a young architecture student who just arrived in Beijing from the sticks. Lan Yu is young, naive, and short on cash, so when he's propositioned by Han Dong's business associate, on Han Dong's behalf, for a sex-for-money arrangement, he takes him up on it. Lan Yu ends up catching feelings, and although Han Dong is attracted to him also, he's very non-committal, keeping Lan Yu always at arm's length emotionally while being generous materially, purchasing gifts for him and providing financial support and a place to stay. It's clear there's something there, but Han Dong is very closeted, and he maintains that it's just sex. He also regularly pursues other young men on the side, which Lan Yu accidentally discovers one day when he turns up unannounced at his place just to find Han Dong buttering up some other young piece of meat there. After he storms off, they lose contact for an unspecified period of time. Then, the Tiananmen Square crackdown happens. Han Dong hears that Lan Yu has been seen amid the protests distributing lunchboxes. When things really go sideways, he heads out to search for Lan Yu and finds him shaken up but unharmed. The two of them reignite the old flame, and Han Dong hooks him up with a car and a nice house out in the suburbs of the city. Han Dong is still not really emotionally available, but Lan Yu takes what he can get. All the way up until Han Dong springs it on him that he's going to marry a woman, a translator who helped him negotiate a business deal with the Russians. Lan Yu abandons the house, and they fall out of touch again. More time passes. The marriage fails. Han Dong's father dies. Sometime after the divorce, Han Dong comes across Lan Yu at the airport, and something about the dynamic shifts. Lan Yu is obviously kind of jaded after years of being toyed with and rejected, and is understandably distant at first, but Han Dong seems ready to be vulnerable for the first time. They finally enter a real relationship with emotional reciprocity, living as openly as the time and place permits, and they're happy. When Han Dong's business is investigated by the government and he faces jail time and potentially execution, Lan Yu demonstrates the depth of his devotion to him by selling that house that he gave him and all the other valuable gifts Han Dong bought for him all those years ago in order to make his bail and pay off his legal fees. But then, rather abruptly, tragedy strikes, and Lan Yu is killed in a construction accident. Just as Han Dong was ready to love him without reservation, he's ripped away from him. Cue the sad song.
对你的思念是一天又一天，孤单的我还是没有改变，美丽的梦何时才能出现？亲爱的你，好想再见你一面。秋天的风一阵阵的吹过，想起了去年的这个时候，你的信到底在想些什么？为什么留下这个结局让我承受？最爱你的人是我，你怎么舍得我难过？在我最需要你的时候，没有说一句话就走。最爱你的人是我，你怎么舍得我难过？对你付出了这么多，你却没有感动过。 有一天，孤单的我还是没有改变。美丽的梦何时才能出现？亲爱的你，好想再见你一面。秋天的风一阵阵的吹过，想起了去年的这个时候。你的心到底在想些什么？为什么留下这个结局让我承受？最爱你的人是我，你怎么舍得我难过？在我最需要你的时候，没有说一句话就走。最爱你的人是我，你怎么舍得我难过？对你付出了这么多，你却没有感动过。最爱你的人是我，你怎么舍得我难过？在我最需要你的时候，没有说一句话就走。最爱你的人是我，你怎么舍得我难过？对你付出了这么多，你却没有感动过。
I only glossed over it in my summary of the events, but one of the craziest things about this movie was that it included a reference to the incident in Tiananmen Square that took place June 4th, 1989. Almost no mainland Chinese productions even touched this material with a 10-foot pole, and if they did, they were banned or censored. It shows up more in Hong Kong and diaspora cinema than anywhere else, so that includes Quan, although that has almost certainly changed since the handover. Lan Yu couldn't be screened in China at all, mainly on the basis of its gay content, but the Tiananmen reference is basically like slapping a sticker on the reel that says, "Ban me." It mainly circulated on pirated DVDs, which was how a lot of banned or unreleased foreign and Hong Kong films reached mainland audiences in the early 2000s. So the film was seen in China, but secretly, through the same kind of underground circulation as its online source material. It was in Taiwan where it got its most significant formal recognition, netting Quan Best Director at the Golden Horse Awards. It was also shown at Cannes and other international film festivals, and is recognized among other standout art house gay films of the era. I will say, though, the movie and the story it's based on is guilty of treading a few well-worn paths. Han Dong as the closeted gay man is one of the most durable tropes in gay movies and in representations of gay life generally. He presents a straight-facing public identity while maintaining a hidden private one. There is, of course, a grain of truth to it, as there is to many tropes, because the closet was and remains a real social structure to which some gay people still confine themselves to this day. But in storytelling, it can flatten into a simple arc of denial and eventual revelation, or denial and punishment, as can be seen in this film. To be fair, Han Dong is a more honest version of this figure than most. He isn't performing straightness aggressively or cruelly. He just really cannot reconcile what he feels with the life he is expected to live. I think the greater crime here is the use of the bury your gays trope. Bury your gays, or kill your gays as it's sometimes called, is the narrative pattern in which gay characters, disproportionately relative to straight characters, are killed off, usually at or near the end of the story. In the past, it functioned as a censorship workaround. You could depict homosexuality as long as it was somehow punished or done away with, and the production code in Hollywood actually enforced this. The trope persisted long after formal censorship went away because it had become a default emotional register for stories about gay people. Death was just convenient for giving narrative weight and closure without requiring the audience to imagine a gay relationship progressing to an ordinary future or, God forbid, a happy ending. Because it's easier to ask a general audience to feel sorry for a gay character rather than normalize them. We saw this in Brokeback Mountain, even more explicitly in a lot of ways given the implication it might have been a hate crime that killed Jack Twist. But in Lan Yu, it's just a senseless accident, minimally explained, breaking them up for good. It is the very definition of the bury your gays trope. But you know how things can be with these older movies featuring gay characters. While the film is guilty of some, by this point, pretty tired tropes common to gay stories from the past, it also manages to handle its subject matter pretty well, and its origins, political content, and undercover production is a story in and of itself. It's pretty amazing that this came out of a country that has only become stricter over time about censoring gay and lesbian content in mainstream media. Since 2016, Chinese media has systematically erased depictions of homosexuality, with state censorship agencies deeming same-sex relationships abnormal and including them in prohibited content. In 2017, the China Netcasting Services Association officially banned portrayals of homosexuality in online broadcasting, and public gay film festivals completely disappeared after 2018. In 2021, the Central Propaganda Department issued a formal document banning Boys Love TV series altogether, and WeChat deleted dozens of university LGBT accounts. Imported films get this stuff cut out too, so the situation has only become more and more restrictive over the past decade. It got me thinking, what is it really like to be gay on the ground in China right now? Homosexuality was decriminalized in 1997 and removed from the official list of mental disorders in 2001, the same year Lan Yu came out. But there's still no anti-discrimination protection, no recognition of same-sex relationships, and no path to legal partnership or marriage. Culturally, it's only become more and more suppressed. The only gay scenes can be found in major metropolitan areas, and even then, their existence is only tolerated, not really acknowledged. There's a lot to be said about the ways China and Taiwan have diverged. But perhaps one of the biggest cultural differences lies right here. In Taiwan, you don't have to live in fear, and you don't have to kill off one or both comrades at the end of the story. You can just let gay people live happily ever after.
That's all I have for you guys today. I'm Hannah Belinsky. Thank you for tuning in to Retro Reels, and I hope you'll join me again next time on another look back on the way things were.